actually it. It's not shiny. Not shiny at all. La da 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 da. La da dee, la da do, la da da. Is this good? Does Seraphine not have it? I guess. Where does it end up at? Look back there.
him as acting possessed and doing spiritual talk, even calling it speaking in tongues at one point, which made her very concerned he was becoming psychotic, which was a definite possibility since Adam's psychiatrist had told him years prior that even smoking weed had a significant risk of psychosis for him. Eventually, his sleeping and eating patterns became more erratic, and his demeanor towards her got increasingly aggressive, with Adam being verbally abusive, breaking things around the house, scattering food over the counter and floors, and though I don't quite get this one, jumping in and out of windows. Does she mean leaping through the glass and breaking in the process, or just jumping through open windows? Either way, very psychotic behavior. In one instance, Adam is alleged to have locked their dog Albert in the kennel, screaming at him, feeding him candy and Gatorade, and for whatever reason, calling him Elon Musk. This may be weird or even funny at first glance, but a very common expression of being severely deranged is randomly bringing up celebrities or historical personalities into your personal life. However, it gets a lot worse. Adam would let Albert outside when it was freezing cold, causing the dog to get lost and nearly freeze to death. Apparently, he did this multiple times. Once, whilst he got manic at Elizabeth, the dog bit him, and Adam's reaction was to drag the animal around by its neck. Apparently, he had a habit of doing this, even surrounding him with mirrors in the kennel at one time because he was nervous, presumably to further disturb the dog. Elizabeth also said that Adam would deliberately clog all the drains, forcing her to have to go to the store to use the bathroom during her pregnancy, which obviously, being pregnant, made her have to go to the bathroom much more often than normal. Adam wouldn't let her shower, eat, or sleep by blasting music and doing schizobabble, and the house was often exposed to the elements as he'd leave doors open during blizzards. Her account adds that he didn't just terrorize people domestically, but also did it online as well. Adam would be constantly spamming Alessa with demands to see his son, whilst Elizabeth would be texting her, informing her Mason would not be safe, since whenever he was upset, Adam would put him at risk in various ways. Adam would also call up Venom and scream nonsense at him, saying how much he hated him. For context, Venom is one of the few YouTubers who came out of the same scene as Adam, but unlike Adam and his peers, he came out relatively unscathed and actually managed to be an extremely successful content creator by doing more technical videos on Minecraft. Obviously, Venom's success was deeply resented by Sky, who completely failed to do the same despite initially having a way bigger channel. More signs of clearly psychotic behavior include Adam punching an amethyst he had on the wall, and after the resulting gash on his fist had been bandaged, he would purposely take the bandages off and start rubbing his blood on Elizabeth and all over the walls. It's also mentioned in this section, though it's left unspecified if it actually happened in the same time period, but Elizabeth also claims that Adam elbowed her in the stomach multiple times. After being taken to the hospital to get his hand checked against his wishes, Adam became violent and started screaming and kicking Elizabeth in her stomach, proceeding to fight the staff and yell out the N-word. Adam was subdued by security and spent a week in the hospital, but after returning to his house, his behavior hadn't changed one bit. However, it did change whenever Elizabeth called 911, at which point Adam would act completely normal in front of the police, meaning he wasn't so insane that he was unaware he was being erratic. He could turn it on and off whenever it's convenient for him. There were, at some point, dozens of recordings Elizabeth made of Adam saying he wanted to kill multiple different people, but he forced her to delete them when he found out about it, something that, according to the document, also happened to Alessa. This culminated in Adam getting in her face whilst wielding a knife, and then proceeding to slash one of their roommates' mattresses with it. Unbeknownst to him, whilst this was taking place, Elizabeth was on a call with a police officer, being instructed to act as if she was on a call with someone she knew, so as not to raise any suspicions and attract Adam's attention to her. Once they'd arrived at the scene and Adam noticed there was police presence, he immediately pivoted to pretending he was doing spring cleaning. However, it was very clear to the cops that this was not the case, as the house was in utter shambles, and as they moved in to secure Elizabeth's safety, upon seeing that the officers were talking to her, Adam began getting erratic again, started rambling about God, video games, his son, his rights, and nuclear power to the officer, and was promptly arrested. We'll briefly sidestep the iCloud documents so that we can go over the police reports, which were also made available on the Twitter thread.
Adam was charged with malicious mischief of the 3rd degree, specified as damage to private property since he slashed his roommate's mattress, and a harassment threat. After being involuntarily committed to the hospital, he was still behaving strangely, saying nonsensical things and resisting whenever the officers wanted him to lie down to keep him from running out of his hospital room and attacking the staff, which fortunately never happened. As Adam spent the next few weeks in the hospital, he continued to frequently call Elizabeth, which according to her, brought her to the brink of almost doing something very drastic, and the only thing that stopped her was the fact that she was going to be a mother. However, none of this fazed Adam, who was simply focused on getting out of the hospital as soon as possible. When he did, his behavior resumed, with the added bonus that he began regularly threatening his his own well-being to further manipulate Elizabeth into getting whatever he wanted. At a later moment, when Elizabeth was trying to sleep, Adam ran into her room and yanked her out of the bed, at which point she said she felt a tear in the side of her stomach. As soon as he noticed she was screaming out in pain and crying, Adam ran out of the room, almost like a kid after they broke a piece of furniture or something. As a matter of fact, a lot of these behaviors are like a very distorted, psychotic version of things that a kid would do. Something Elizabeth mentions almost immediately when recounting this event is the fact that Adam blew through all of their money on candy and drugs. In the tweets that followed, she attached some images of her PayPal, paying back $6,000 and consequently being over negative $6,000 in the checking. Her prolonged episode of being tormented in Adam's hands apparently came to an end when he told her to call her dad. The thing is, when she did, her dad immediately started driving at 2 a.m. to come get her. According to her, when Adam realized he'd overplayed his hand and made a mistake, he began texting everyone they knew to start spreading a narrative that she was the belligerent one, the same way he did Alessa. Even though they were no longer living together, Elizabeth continued to text him, trying to be supportive, but Adam continued to do the same. 2 months after her departure, she gave birth in a hospital that was under strict instructions to put the hospital in complete lockdown were Adam to show up. Elizabeth was wise enough to prevent Adam from ever being in the same vicinity as their child if he was unmedicated, but since he continued to not take his meds, he never met his own daughter. While he apparently continued to harass her in private and in public, Adam was repeatedly either threatening to do something drastic himself or pretending he'd already done it. Attached to her statements are a few videos, which she gives context for. This one is explained by Elizabeth as Adam asking for the last $200 she had so that he could buy weed and candy. One of the last things said in the document is that there is another unnamed person who has a restraining order against Adam, but we don't get any further info on that. The other images attached to the tweets show Adam randomly referring to Elizabeth using the N-word, based, talking to this aforementioned other girl when he was still with Elizabeth, along with an image of the slashed mattress, forgetting his daughter's due date and demanding to see her when she was born, endlessly spamming Elizabeth with calls in the middle of the night, threatening his own life again to manipulate her, along with a few recordings of the voice messages he left her.
I don't respect you.
The fact that she has recordings of his voice honestly gives her account a lot more credence than if she only had text message receipts. But still, as I said, I'm documenting these as allegations and not attesting to their credibility. But if there are elements of her story that you think are dubious, there are two more that really solidify Elizabeth's claims. First off, on the very same day, a former collaborator of Sky's, the British YouTuber Gizzy Gaza, also posted about his experience with him, which is also very long, so I'll give it the same treatment I gave Elizabeth's and paraphrase it. He does note right at the beginning that he had no concrete evidence for his claims since most of it took place over Skype, and he couldn't manage to find anything archived. Again, I'll have to let you be the judge of their veracity. In his document, Gizzy retells that he was the originator of the idea to make the Cops and Robbers series, in which they recreated a Halo 3 Forge map to do roleplay, and it blew up and became a landmark of early 2010s Minecraft videos. However, after inviting Adam for the second recording of it, the series got away from Gizzy, and eventually he stopped being invited to them altogether, despite playing a pivotal role in getting it started. This, according to him, was done purposely by Adam, who deliberately misinterpreted Gizzy's claim to be the originator of the map as if he was saying he did it by himself without the help of Podcrash, the people who built the map under Gizzy's instructions. This permanently made him persona non grata in the Minecraft community. In 2014, Adam actively went around contacting other content creators and told them not to work with Gizzy, effectively a boycott coming from one of the most important gaming YouTubers of that era for seemingly no good reason. Also on the same day, Alessa took to Twitter to clarify her position on the erupting news about Sky, saying, "The only time I ever kept our son away was when he didn't have an active parenting plan set up to ensure I'd get him back after visitations. Instead of waiting for the parenting plan, Adam let Keemstar manipulate him into having a breakdown on Drama Alert. To this day, Adam blames me for the Drama Alert thing. Says we're digging up old news. I remember the time Adam wrote a love song for another girl and played it for our coworkers in front of me. My coworkers were like, 'Oh, it's so sweet he made a song about you.' I had to make it awkward and admit it wasn't about me. Then I got harassed about it for days, saying I embarrassed him in front of his employees and how immature I was being, constantly gaslighting me. And the song was for a girl he was cheating on me with, by the way. He also let her borrow my car without asking. When Dawn, his older ex, and I came together to write an affidavit against him, he bribed her by giving her the pit bull from their relationship in an attempt to quiet her and discredit everything I was saying. Like I said, he uses people and animals for his own gain. Adam likes to call me an abuser for finally retaliating at him physically after he had been chasing me around and cornering me. I lashed out after he screamed in my face that he would do everything in my power to make sure the court sees you as an unfit mother. He wouldn't move, so I grabbed his neck and punched him. And honestly, I regret nothing, and he cannot hold that over my head anymore. The sad part is, when the cops came, I didn't tell them about him physically restraining me or screaming at me. I was scared the public would find out, thus making him lose his job, thus leaving my son with no support as I didn't have a job at the time. I spent my son's first Easter in jail because he wouldn't send money to his parents to help bail me out. I sat there for 5 days. Then he tried to dox me with this information to his millions of followers to get them to mob me. At about 6 months pregnant, Adam took my car keys, my phone, my laptop, and left me in our house with no food until they came back home at around 11 p.m. The lake house was miles away from any grocery store or restaurant, otherwise I would have walked. And even if I found somewhere to purchase food, I had no money of my own. I was financially held hostage anytime I disagreed with him. Adam isolated me from my friends and family. I had no one to call, and my father was in Mexico. I had no money of my own because Adam was supporting me because I had recently given birth to our son and I wasn't working. And since everyone's been asking, yes, they are also the reason I no longer have access to my old YouTube channel. Later on, Alessa shared a message she allegedly got from Adam's mother, which read, "What is the end result you're looking for here? Adam forced to work a menial job like 7-Eleven or McDonald's? Well, prepare for $25 a month of child support. DSHS will lower the payments to what he'll be able to pay. You'll have to get a job. You destroyed his singing career, now you've wrecked his life and livelihood. You accuse him of the worst crimes via vigilante justice. No defense, no judge, no jury. Just an angry mob who doesn't really know what went on. But I was there for your bad actions as well as his. Grow up and stop using the angry mob to feel better." It's interesting to me that the first thing expressed in her message is the idea of Adam working a regular job and how horrible that would be, trying to make it about the child supports, and willingly ignoring the fact that at this point, Alessa already had a job and was supporting Mason on her own income. While the image we got of Adam's mom from Elizabeth was a more positive one, if this message she sent Alessa is genuine, it may be the case that her motivation for helping Adam's victims out is so that it never gets so bad that Adam does something that lands him in prison. Basically cleaning up.
What would make you feel comfortable with the price?
Well, no one made me feel more comfortable than my kid.
Up after him while simultaneously enabling. Of course, this is just speculation based on Alessa and Elizabeth's claims. User Munching Brotato quote tweeted Alessa saying he was with Adam and Alessa back in 2015 and witnessed him berating her, telling her he would have to delete all of her social media in the middle of a flight. In reply to his post, user Terpy Clouds also attested to having witnessed Adam throwing objects, including ones made out of glass, at Alessa in a hotel room while she was pregnant, causing thousands of dollars worth of damage and, most importantly, endangering his own kid's life in the process. This was back in 2014, and there were pictures from the trip they attached to the tweet. Along with Alessa, Ross, who worked at Sky Media, also made some tweets, revealing that Sky would only let him have his channel back for $100,000, and when Ross refused that generous offer, it made him angry. He also showed some prints of conversations wherein Adam was trying to pressure him into doing things at the office that he didn't agree to.
Another person who came out against Sky was someone named Brian, who mentioned he'd made a tweet longer 2 years prior about some assault situations he had suffered, which included a story about Sky, though he hadn't named him in the original post. The story described him going to Las Vegas and attending a karaoke with Sky, who got very intoxicated and at one point tried to non-consensually kiss him. In his tweets he elaborated, saying, "Back in 2016, Adam called me to tell me that he wanted me to move out to Seattle to become a huge brand new YouTuber, make me the next big thing. Time had passed and I was told I was going to get a call with his manager at the time to talk specifics, but nothing came from it. Then we ended up at PAX South 2017, where I asked Adam at a house party what was going on, and he said he would get me answers next week when he got back. After a week, still nothing. Eventually I started to hear rumors from friends that Adam would talk behind my back, tell people how shit my content was, and that I was someone who was just looking to leech off people, which wasn't true at all. All I wanted was to be Adam's friend. Anytime he's in some sort of funk, I would reach out to him to see how he's doing, and if he needed anything, I was always there for him. Then things started to change when Alessa and Adam broke up. I considered them both friends, but Adam didn't like that I was still friends with Alessa afterward, even though she never did anything bad towards me, and I was just being a good friend to them both. I started to notice that he changed his way with me, and one day I tweeted a subtweet then deleted it, and then he DM'd me about what it was, just because I was friends with Alessa. Brian included a few screenshots of the DMs, mostly consisting of Adam pressing him about the subtweet and saying he doesn't trust Brian because he still followed Alessa. Another similar story to Brian's came from a VTuber named Ender, who moved in with Adam around the same time as Elizabeth. According to Ender, Adam made false promises and put as much pressure as he could on Ender to move in, only for none of them to be fulfilled. Other former associates of Sky were coming out of the woodwork to support them, one of them being Deadlocks, who said in no no vague terms that no one actually liked Adam as much as they feared him, and that he lost 99% of his friends through his career because of the way he behaved. The aforementioned munching Brotato also shared that Adam bullied him out of the platform, and after enough time passed since it had happened and Brotato thought it was safe to come back, Adam immediately noticed and released private DMs between them, calling on his legion of fans to antagonize him. Seto Sorcerer suggested that Adam had something to do with his departure from YouTube in 2014. Battlesword added that Adam would lie, manipulate, cheat, and emotionally destroy anyone who wasn't perfect to him. A user named Z showed DMs between themselves and Adam wherein he could be seen threatening himself. Tim.tv alleged that when the Jimbob situation was still ongoing, he brought it up to Adam, who told him to mind his own business and edit. Miss-san corroborated this by saying that when Jin was arrested, Adam told everyone not to say anything about it so that he could play dumb about it. Later on, Miss-san also dropped his statement, revealing that he regularly worked 15 hours a day for Sky, and once he quit, he instantly started tweeting out a bunch of lies about him, vilifying him and resulting in Sky's fans following suit and harassing Miss-san, which culminated in him distancing himself from creating content and just becoming an editor for somebody else. The insane work hours aren't just Miss-san's claims either. Another user by the name of Sub also relayed that he was working not 15 but 20 hours a day when he was just 15 years old, 6 videos and 6 thumbnails per day, plus 2 animation videos a month, and being so devoted to his work under Sky that he convinced his parents to potentially relocate so that he could continue working. However, after a while of Sub basically running Sky's channel, he was unceremoniously let go, which absolutely crushed him. Fortunately, he quickly came to realize this was a blessing in disguise, as his working conditions were absolutely exploitative, especially since, if I'm understanding this correctly, Sky was telling him he couldn't afford to pay him, despite raking in millions on his main channel at the time. A very similar story came from someone named Queen Cat, who reported being 13 to 14 years old when they were editing the Do Not Laugh videos for Adam, again for no pay at all. Sky's way of repaying their labor was to promise to put their names in the description, which is already pathetic in and of itself, but even then, he wasn't able to fulfill his promise. After repeatedly complaining to Sky about it, he replied that he would shout their name out in another video, which again never happened. A lot like Substory, it crushed them to see their work, which they were only able to do by sacrificing time in school and with their friends, going completely without meaningful credit. A day after Elizabeth's original tweet, Ann Venom came out on Twitter to share his own experience with him. This wasn't a stranger or an ex-girlfriend, but someone who'd worked with him at a point in time, giving a lot of weight to his words. In his Pastebin post titled, "Adam doesn't deserve our forgiveness, but I still hope he tries to earn it," he said,
I want to preface this by saying that ever since 2013, I've been kept just outside of arm's reach of Adam, so I was spared from much of what you may have heard from others. I've known Adam, also known as Sky Does Minecraft, also known as Net Nobody, since 2009, prior to the creation of the Sky Does Minecraft channel. I was there when Adam was trying to get his channel off the ground, and I coached him a lot throughout 2012, which is when the Sky Does Minecraft channel initially blew up. I met Sky when he contacted me, joking about a RuneScape video I had made. I can't say we were the closest of friends, but we communicated often all the way through 2012. Myself and Caveman Films even did a fundraiser livestream for him in 2011, link below, so he could buy a new PC, which he ultimately did, and that allowed him to start his Sky Does Minecraft career. I would be lying if I said I hadn't felt at least a little bit of guilt and feeling like I had ever helped Adam. Like this may have never happened. In the weeks leading up to his channel blowing up, he would often ask me to record with him as it was something we enjoyed. By this point, I had somewhere in the neighborhood of 500,000 subscribers. As time went on, he would ask to record with me a lot because he enjoyed it, and I enjoyed it. I was a hard ass on him about his repeated requests in early July of 2012 because he began asking me to record a little too much. At the end of the day, part of my motivation for being a hard ass was to motivate him. By the time the middle of July had rolled around, he did just that, and we recorded Minecraft Tennis. I firmly believe Adam would have blown up without my assistance at this point, but Adam definitely blew up a lot following the release of this video. And I mean a lot. He went from tens of thousands of views per day to the high hundreds of thousands. I have archived Skype screenshots from 2012 that I looked at yesterday that showed just how excited Sky was. Sky saw nearly overnight success. Some of you may know, earned income on YouTube isn't paid until 30 to 60 days following the end of that month. So while Sky did see overnight success, he did not get any money for it for a few months. I firmly believe that July through August of 2012 were the absolute happiest I ever saw Adam. Within my PAX 2012 Day 1 video, link below, you can see an entirely different looking Adam, who looks so full of life and so ready to just take on the world. He had found success, but money had not yet corrupted him. My memory after PAX 2012 is hazy, but I do remember the first time our friendship became strained was when he organized and did not invite me to Survival Games 5, the video for which is linked below. Considering that I won the first 3, and considering how good of friends we were prior to this time, something seemed up. Now I want to make clear that this is water under the bridge. I forgave this a long time ago. The reason I bring this up is this is when I began to always be greater than an arm's distance away from Adam, which is why I feel I was spared. In the years following, I heard I was in discussions to be invited into Team Crafted, but later heard Adam struck down that idea. Again, it seems I was spared. The last time I can ever recall seeing him in person was when he was working at Sky Media and we had lunch together. Fast forward to sometime into and after 2018, I began to see just how far Adam had fallen. I need to be extremely careful not to disclose specifics, but Adam called me as a friend to discuss the delusional ideas that he was completely enthralled with. At some point in 2019 or 2020, I had gotten a few calls from Adam wherein he was clearly not in a good state of mind. His home was an absolute wreck and he was frequently in some kind of psychotic state. I can confidently say that I was scared during these calls. I was scared that I would be the trigger for him to do something bad, even though all I wanted to do was support him and calm him down. Adam has been my friend since 2009. Even if I felt the odds were absolutely stacked against him, I always wanted him to have an epic comeback, find peace, and live happily. But again, because I was kept just outside of arm's reach, I had no idea about the things that were going on that Liz described within her message. All I can confidently say is that me and Liz did speak the one time she mentioned we spoke, and it was very brief. The last time myself and Adam spoke was within the last few months when he borrowed a bit of grocery money from me, which he did 2 or 3 times within the past year. Nothing overly major, as I would have said no to anything I wasn't comfortable with. The last time he borrowed from me though, I told him it was the last time I could help him financially unless he was able to pay it back and have an amazing comeback, whether it be with videos, music, or whatever his life passions were. I just wanted the best for my friend, and I still want the best for my friend. Adam did some truly unforgivable things that other people have shared their stories about, and he's especially done unforgivable things within the past few years, which I believe were directly influenced by him losing the remainder of his earned wealth. I will only consider some kind of forgiveness if he does what I think nobody expects from him at this point and actually strives to fix his life, and then does so and proves to even the harshest of skeptics that he's giving it his all. While Aunt Venom was unable to corroborate many of Elizabeth's more specific claims due to his distance, he was able to confirm one of the most scathing ones, the psychotic phone calls. However, he wouldn't be the last person to follow Elizabeth's lead, as yet another day later, a third person spoke out, identifying themselves as Nick at the end of the twitlonger they made about Adam. It reads as follows. My history with Adam begins in the middle of 2017 after reaching out to members of Team Crafted/Nobody Media in hopes of gaining some experience in the film world while also helping out one of my childhood idols. Until this point, I had not met or seen Adam in the 3 to 4 months I'd been visiting the house members, until one night, I was not supposed to have gone back after the shoot. I left my bag inside Adam's bathroom but was told it would be better to leave it there. The general consensus was that Adam could not see me or he would be very, very upset. Tensions rose as Adam walked down the driveway in a robe and greeted me by name. He handed me his drink and asked if I wanted to sip while gesturing me towards the house. Phil and Jason were immediately worried about me, but I told them he was awesome and had no clue why they tried to protect me from such a nice guy. This is where the manipulation began. 3 months after meeting Adam face to face, he began interacting with me on a mutual level on social media, even inviting me to his birthday party, where I was able to meet almost everyone I grew up watching on the YouTube scene. At this point, he was with a girl named Felicia and spent a lot of time away from LA for business. In 2018, Adam entered a very bad time. I was able to come over less, and when I did, he was in his studio off copious amounts of mushrooms, room hotboxed so effectively you were high upon even entering. In 2020, he had asked me to come visit to help him get out of his slump, and I obliged. But I didn't feel all the way safe being alone with him after seeing the way he behaved on Discord, so I took one of my close friends who Adam enjoyed the company of with me. Upon being picked up from the airport, we noticed the state of his house was that of an extremely distressed individual. We stayed for a week, taking him grocery shopping, taking care of the puppy, and handling some of the household chores that had been neglected for some time. Adam began opening up to me about what had happened in the past 2 years and to the dark place he had been stuck in for quite some time. He spoke frequently about spiritual adventures where either he was God or possessed some type of power the rest of us didn't. I helped restore the house back to a livable condition before a week came to an end. Adam became a lot more comfortable sharing things I've never heard about him from his private life and expressed wanting me to stay with him longer so we could continue to get better. The week soon came to an end and Adam begged me to stay. Fortunately, the friends that I had brought had to return home and could not do so without me, so we headed back. The month after this, he would call me at random hours of the night, saying extremely cryptic riddles but never explaining what he meant before threatening himself in some fashion, then disappearing for days at a time only to apologize and say he was working. He finally ends up admitting he took what he claims was upwards of 70 grams of shrooms, and that's why he was having such a bad episode. I flew back to Seattle alone, this time to see Adam and help him with a music video for a song he had shown me. Liz picks me up from the airport and brings me to Adam's house. Liz would soon have to leave, and she and I exchanged info before she headed home. Adam immediately was less tense, and when I asked who she was, he referred to her as some Tinder girl, but I don't ever see her being my girlfriend. The fucked up part being Liz would have already been pregnant at this point. The week continued with me having to take care of Adam as he slipped in and out of reality, often severely injuring himself in the process. He needed me beside him to bathe because he was afraid of drowning. He'd speak like a baby, mumbling nonsense, shower, and walk around with only a blanket, refusing to put clothes on until falling into bed next to me, yelling at construction workers across the street, calling them Smiths, all the while constructing some master plan to get Mason back. There's no way a child could live there. The house would get worse as I tried to clean it, it, and I felt myself being pulled further and further into a hole I didn't know the depth of. I finally went home, and began to see the events of what was hidden from me unfold, beginning with the birth of Elizabeth's kid. I kept Adam added, and he would reach out randomly throughout the year with strange requests, like to add him on Facebook and work on videos. He's since pretended to move on and try to surround himself with new shields to defend the character he presents now versus the one who disregarded so many of the people he claimed to love. Adam is a lying, manipulative narcissist who should not be in a position of power, and I'd warn against trying to help. No matter how much I want to see the good in him, people need to be aware of what type of man he is. To this day, he will repeat, "I'm sorry, I didn't mean it," and threaten himself at the first thought of repercussions for his actions. I'm sorry, but I can't be responsible for you.
Also on the 24th, a user named Skelly posted another tweet longer, explaining that Adam had been essentially trying to love bomb and manipulate him, only to have him come over and take care of Mason for him while he went to his bedroom. Skelly also corroborated Elizabeth's claims that Adam abused their dog Albert, feeding it things it shouldn't eat, throwing it outside whilst it rained, among other things. According to Skelly, Sky had everyone around him do everything for him, from waking him up to scheduling his activities, contacting business opportunities, and coordinating collaborations for him. Adam would do shrooms every single day, lie about quitting to get things he wanted, tell people about his hallucinations as if they were real and call them stupid if they didn't play along, make non-consensual advances on people around him whilst under the influence, video call people in his underpants or naked, call himself God, demonize anyone who he thought wronged him or are no longer in his life, show people pictures of his semen, guilt trip Skelly into naming his son Adam, and after all of that, never pay him a dime for his work. With all these testimonies coming out in a row, both from people who worked with him and people who were part of his personal life in one way or another, Adam was painted as a pretty calculating abuser, as opposed to the image that the general public had of him, of a guy struggling with mental health who couldn't get a break. Following this close-set sequence of allegations, Sky went close to radio silent on these topics, which puzzled a lot of people since some of the claims made, particularly by Elizabeth, crossed well over into criminal territory, and if she was lying, he could easily sue her for defamation. Again, whilst these are just allegations, Elizabeth shared reports from 2 different police officers who reported Adam was not only belligerent, but possessed by manic delusions, so whatever response he could give would have to be extremely good, otherwise it would do nothing but fuel the fire burning on his name at the time. Liz herself posted the DM which Adam sent to Drama Alert, claiming that the allegations were a mix in regards to their veracity, but besides that measly response, nothing really materialized. February went by, then March, April, and nothing of significance came from him besides a page on FameSwap, wherein it appears that Sky had just put his channel up for sale for nearly $1 million, which as far as I can tell never happened. In that same month of April, another of Sky's exes, Dawn, tweeted something in response to the Jay Aubrey video that had recently come out about the allegations. She revealed that all the way back in 2012, before he was as huge as he would soon become, Sky was already abusive, as during play fighting, he put her in a real headlock which didn't allow her to breathe until she was rendered unconscious. After she woke up, Adam expressed that he didn't intend for that to happen, but I don't know how realistically it's possible to choke someone out on accident, especially when they're clawing and biting at you to stop, as Dawn describes herself doing. Still, nothing from Sky's end. Sky waited for almost 1.5 years before speaking about the allegations, and by the time he did, many people had long lost their interest in this case since it was inactive. In July 2023, he took to Twitter to attempt to clear his name, saying, "After 2.5-ish years focusing on my mental health, taking in what everyone said and thinks, and trying to process, I just want to say I'm sorry anyone ever felt so negatively of me. I make mistakes, but only ever try to be a good person. After speaking with professionals leagues beyond me, I think it's in everyone's best interest to let them handle everything in the personal realms of life. That's what they've dedicated their lives to. After all, I only know my life. I have no immense making plans or happy ending ideas in my head with anyone, and I think it's best everyone just moves on with their own lives. As has been stated, I was just always an emotional guy trying to help others, make others laugh, and along the way, lost focus. Just as you only know your life and one perspective in that life, I only know mine. I'm not the horrible monster I've been made out to be. It hurts, and it's a lot of what is taking time to process. I've laughed, cried, put emotions and resources and more to a lot of the very people describing me as a horrible person who have mistakes resolved already, and already in the process of healing. It's just all been very confusing, and I'm not asking for sympathy, just understanding whilst I continue to work through it all. I'm not really interested in being Sky anymore or a YouTuber, but rather just a human being, focusing on improvement, creating things behind the scenes, once in a while telling you what I'm working on, and maybe some music once in a while, as it's therapy to me and my wife. I have been doing okay for those who are interested. I'm married to my wife Wendy, making an album, shooting music videos with her, and have grown past internet drama and things that lower my connections to God and higher frequency, as we get closer to awakening as a species, the end times, the solar flash, etc., whatever you want to call it. I don't focus too much on the internet anymore due to spiritual beliefs, but I do know you're all out there who've supported me and just wanted me to get better. I just wanted to say to those of you who wanted me to get back to a space I was at before, I appreciate you, and saw the redemption stories you all wanted from me so much. I'm off drugs, I'm eating healthy, and really alchemically focusing on my mind and my body. Thank you to those of you who just wanted to better me. I saw it. I just personally hit a point of pressure. I never wanted to be some perfect non-human idea of everyone's old hero. Those were confusing and left me in a weird spot of never knowing how to come out and say, guys, I'm just a guy who makes funny videos, employed friends which cause emotions to be included, has a booming ass voice and viper tongue, and makes just as many mistakes as you during the process of learning and life. I've been living in acceptance of my bipolar schizophrenia over the last 2 years, and my wife Wendy has helped a lot, but it took a long time for me to understand what was happening to me as it developed over the past 5 years. Thankfully, I'm in a place where I feel comfortable enough to let everyone in again, and hopefully look to the future. I'm excited to show you the things I've been working on behind the scenes. I'm not really interested in talking about anything negative anymore, and to those of you who were there for me during my lowest, thank you.
Again, what we're seeing here is a discrepancy between Adam's self-perception as a regular guy struggling with serious mental health issues and how he's described by third parties as a manic manipulator and abuser. While this tweet sort of explains why he hasn't defended himself from the accusations in any way because he's not interested in things he considers negative, it doesn't really do anything to clear up what way exactly he isn't the monster he's been painted to be. A couple of months after this statement was posted to Twitter, he posted a video to his channel called Where Have You Been?, wherein he vaguely reiterates some of his statement while wearing religious symbols and then tells people to join a Telegram to stay updated. A little while after, he posted another update to his YouTube where he appeared with his new wife and announced that he was now the COO of Storyfire. If you don't know what Storyfire is, it's basically this YouTube, Twitch alternative platform that was launched a few years ago. It never really went anywhere. And by the way, it was created by McJuggernuggets.
Dad, you're not touching this. You're not. Get away, put it back. What are you chainsaw me? What are you? Dad!
While Adam doesn't seem psychotic, something still feels off about the things Sky is saying and his presentation. It's almost as if he's holding on to some phantom of himself of early 2010s Minecraft YouTube humor, but in a very decrepit form. Throughout the video, he mentions there's going to be a documentary released covering the last 3 years of his life and that he's been saved by Jesus Christ. Over the course of the following months, he started uploading Minecraft videos again, and I should note, not in a new format that makes an attempt to capitalize on how the platform has changed since 2013, but the exact same way he used to do it 10 years ago. As you can imagine, this wasn't very successful, and the shilling for Storyfire definitely didn't help with popularity, since at this point, Storyfire's public reception was pretty negative after CoffeeZilla, someone who's widely trusted by YouTube audiences, did a video covering a publicity stunt one of its founders, Jesse, did to save his platform from completely dying. After a few attempts at recreating these 2013 Minecraft videos, Sky tried his hand at reacting to the recently released GTA trailer with some of his friends, maybe due to it being trending at the time. That was the penultimate video he uploaded to his YouTube, as his next 3 uploads were Storyfire exclusives, one being an Animal Crossing gameplay, a Lego Fortnite video, and a music video for one of his Net Nobody tracks. Another thing he mentioned along with the documentary was the Net Nobody album he supposedly had been working on that would save the world but never got released. While there's very little activity on the content side of things, he's remained active on Twitter, similarly schizo posting with an occasional normal tweet. More important than his account, in my opinion, is his new wife's, not because of her posts, but because of her bio. Right after Adam's name, she has Skits Asperger, possibly meaning she's schizophrenic and has Asperger's or something, although maybe it's just a joke. I mean, it easily could be. However, soon after, it also mentions she's a mother of 2. If it's true that she has 2 kids, I hope from the bottom of my heart that her and Adam's mental health issues are and continue to be squarely under control. Time will eventually tell whether that's the case or not, but honestly, as even the people who made the post containing the allegations about Adam said, there's no good reason to hope for Adam to get worse. Everyone wants him to improve as a person. Evidence of this is that, even after all that's been said, his comments and replies are full of supportive messages, many of which come from people who actually believe the allegations. At the end of the day, nobody wants to see one of their favorite content creators, one of the people who defined their childhood and defined YouTube in the early 2010s, in a state of doing horrible things to himself and others. The stakes are pretty high here, so we have even more motivation to hope no domestic incident ever happens again. But if it does, you can be sure that I'll be talking about it. I've been Turkey Tom, thanks for watching, and until next time, huge shout out to Toastify who helped me out with this video. He's one of the best up and coming commentary channels right now, and if you guys like my stuff, you should 1000% subscribe to him because he's putting out bangers consistently. I think that's all. Leave me alone.